No one expected the chaos that exploded at the Love and Hip Hop reunion. A night meant for closure turned into one of the darkest scandals the franchise has ever seen. Cameras were rolling. Fans were watching live, and then boom, the unthinkable. Mendeecees Harris, the man many believed had turned his life around, was suddenly at the center of a violent clash with Rasheeda Frost. Screams filled the stage. Security swarmed. Minutes later, police lights flashed outside the studio. The twist: Mendeecees wasn't just pulled into the fight, he was pulled away in handcuffs. As graphic clips spread across social media, everyone asked the same questions. What sparked this? And would this end Mendeecees' career for good? The reunion energy was tense from the start. Old friendships, broken alliances, whispered betrayals. And on-camera shade had been simmering for months between Rasheeda Frost and Yandy Harris. Producers hyped their face-off as the moment of the season. The audience buzzed. Even insiders whispered the cast was too on edge to guarantee safety. Still, VH1 kept the cameras rolling. When Yandy walked onto set, everything shifted. Calm but defiant, she locked eyes with Rasheeda. Rasheeda sat stone-faced, arms crossed, bracing for impact. The host tried to lighten the mood, but this wasn't going to be a typical shouting match. This was war. The accusations started fast. Yandy called Rasheeda fake, accusing her of betraying sisterhood for clout, spreading rumors about Yandy's marriage, and plotting with other cast members. Gasps. Murmurs. Then Rasheeda fired back, calling Yandy manipulative, always playing the victim, desperate to hold her spot. The crowd booed and clapped in waves, feeding the flames. On the side sat Mendeecees, jaw tight, fists clenched, eyes on the floor. He had promised Yandy he would stay calm, but that promise cracked the moment Rasheeda stood and pointed a finger in Yandy's face. Yandy flinched. Mendeecees rose. The room froze for a heartbeat, then erupted. Mendeecees stormed forward, shouting for Rasheeda to back up. Rasheeda didn't flinch. She squared up. Words flew hotter than the lights. The host begged for calm, drowned out by the crowd. Then it happened. Mendeecees shoved Rasheeda. She stumbled, heels skidding across the glossy stage. Screams. Security lunged. Late cast members rushed to shield Yandy. Others pulled Mendeecees back, red-faced and furious. Rasheeda shouted to call the police. Yandy, in tears, tried to reach Mendeecees, but crew held her back. The cameras caught everything the moment the show crossed from messy TV into real life. Violence. Police lights hit the studio walls. Officers pushed through stunned guests and crew. Phones were up everywhere. Fans outside recorded every second. By the time officers reached Mendeecees, he'd calmed a little, but it didn't matter. With Rasheeda pressing charges on the spot and witnesses backing her story, the call was swift. Handcuffs. The cameras caught the click on his wrists. His face a mix of anger, regret, and disbelief. The fallout was instant. Clips flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Hashtags like #FreeMendeecees and #JusticeForRasheeda trended as fans split into camps. Some said Mendeecees was defending Yandy and Rasheeda pushed too far. Others demanded he be removed from the show and punished. Behind the scenes, producers panicked. Would the episode air? Would the network be sued? Could the cast still work together? The stage looked like a war zone. Chairs toppled, security shouting, producers signaling to keep filming as everything spun out. Then a new angle leaked online from a backstage camera. It showed Rasheeda stepping toward Yandy, finger raised, yelling just before Mendeecees rushed the stage. It didn't prove a physical threat, but it made things murkier. Fans pounced, arguing Mendeecees believed Yandy was in danger. Comments and clips turned every feed into a battlefield. The franchise had crossed into dangerous territory, and nobody knew how to pull it back. The room was thunder silent when the officers stepped onto the set. Reality TV turned into real life in one breath. An officer took Rasheeda Frost's statement, pen steady, eyes locked. She didn't hesitate. He put his hands on me, she said, voice shaking but firm. Another officer faced Mendeecees Harris and read the charge. The cuffs clicked. Yandy Harris screamed his name as crew held her back. In that instant, the reunion wasn't a show anymore. It was evidence. Chaos swelled and then sharpened. Carly Red pointed across the stage, yelling that Rasheeda had started it. Spice fired at production, saying the network should have shut it down the second the finger went in Yandy's face. Even Erica Mena, who never runs from smoke, looked rattled. This is too far, she muttered. Security moved the audience out. Producers waved cameras to keep rolling. Phones were up anyway, outside, inside, everywhere. The story was already writing itself. Then came Leak 1. An anonymous crew member, DMDA blogger. The feud was engineered. Seating charts, loaded questions, hot mics, weeks of setup. Put Yandy directly across from Rasheeda. Nudge Rasheeda to go hard. Count on Mendeecees to react. The blog posted screenshots. Fans lined them up with old clips of producers whispering to cast. The picture got ugly fast, not a random explosion of fuse laid in advance. Leaked to hit harder. Alleged texts between Rasheeda and a senior producer surfaced online. In the screenshots, Rasheeda asked if pressing Yandy would guarantee more reunion time. The reply: "Do what you have to do. Cameras love drama." Overnight, comments on Rasheeda's pages flipped from "We stand with you" to "You played with fire" for clout. Still, another camp dug in. No excuse for putting hands on anyone. The fandom split clean down the middle. Yandy spoke next. A photo of her hand in Mendeecees' hand with a caption: "They tried to break us. We are not breaking." Millions of likes. Millions of arguments. She followed with a live eyes, red but steady. "My husband is not a monster. He protected me when production should have protected all of us." The live pulled 6 figures in minutes. The hashtags started dueling. Hashtag Free Mendeecees. Hashtag Justice for Rasheeda. Hashtag Set Up by Producers. Hashtag Set Up by Producers. Sponsors noticed. A beauty brand quietly pulled ads. An alcohol partner put their deal under review. A network exec was quoted in a leaked call. "We wanted ratings, not a criminal case." Lawyers were looped in. PR drafted statements that never felt safe enough to post. One plan was to shelve the episode. Another was to air it with disclaimers. Both options looked like lawsuits in waiting. Fans only got louder. Dropped the full unedited footage. Leak 3 landed like a hammer. Grainy backstage audio. A female voice whispered, "If Kirk finds out, this will destroy her." Fans connected it to old Kirk Frost and Rasheeda wounds past scandals. Old pain. The theory formed fast. Poke the bruise, get the reaction. Rasheeda's team denied any plotting, but the timing burned. Why did she go live so fast? Why did it sound like she was ready for a speech while the set was still on fire? The comments were not kind. Then a 4th clip surfaced. Shaky and close a stagehand glancing at a phone. A text lighting the screen seconds before Mendeecees rushed forward. You couldn't read the words, but fans slowed it frame by frame and filled in the blanks. They fed that message in real time. Maybe, maybe not, but the doubt was planted, and doubt travels faster than truth. Meanwhile, Mendeecees sat in a holding cell, jaw set, eyes dull, the adrenaline gone. People close to him said he felt betrayed by the machine. Booked to be a husband on camera. Boxed into being a headline off camera. They knew what they were doing. He told someone on a monitored call, "They knew where to sit me. They knew what would happen if they let that finger get in Yandy's face." On another line, Yandy promised to fight. "We're getting the full footage," she said. "All angles. All audio." The industry piled on. Cardi B ranted about producers playing with lives. Tamer Braxton wrote, "All money ain't good money," and let the comment section burn. Charlemagne the God called out networks that monetize black pain. Morning shows debated reality versus manipulation. Podcasts treated the reunion like a case study. A petition to pause filming on future reunions crossed 100,000 signatures in a day, and then the rawest clip of all. Mendeecees backstage, pacing, whispering to himself a minute before the shove, "They better stop playing with my wife or I'm snapping tonight." Was that a confession or a cry from the edge? Fans argued both. One side said it proved intent. The other said it proved pressure. The truth sat in the middle and refused to move. By nightfall, 3 things were certain. First, Rasheeda would not back down. She said it plain. "I'm pressing charges." Second, Yandy wasn't folding either. She hired counsel and demanded raw footage, comms logs, and backstage audio, everything. Third, the network had a problem it couldn't edit away. Sponsors leaving, cast lawyering up, and a fan base that wouldn't be gaslit. Producers floated a damage control special, a conversation on safety, with moderated statements and carefully cut clips. The idea died in an hour. Nobody wanted smoothing. People wanted receipts. They wanted to know who sat Yandy across from Rasheeda, who greenlit the prompts, who told security to wait it out, and who kept the cameras rolling when the room had clearly tipped from scene 2. Danger, in the middle of the night. A court filing hit the docket quiet, fast, and immediately Rasheeda Frost versus Mendeecees Harris. Assault, emotional distress, and an emergency protection order. Right behind it, a preservation demand from Yandy Smith Harris, attorney to VH1 and the production company. Do not delete a second of footage or comms. If even one angle goes missing, they warned, expect litigation. The next morning, a new message blasted across cast group chats and media inboxes at the same time. An anonymous link titled Unedited, Camera host Feed Plus Green Room. The preview image showed a split-screen stage-wide host mic and a grainy green room corner no one knew was micked. Inside that corner, two figures leaned close. One voice was unmistakable, the other was the person you'd least expect. And with a single click, the whole story threatened to flip again.